When you strain your milk, you always want to make sure that you have a clean filter, especially if you're going to make cheese or you're going to start a culture like we're going to do today for yogurt. So let's see. Okay, perfect. Don't even think there's one speck of dirt or hair. Okay, we're going to proceed now to making our culture. We have our fresh milk that we just milked and strained, and that's what we're going to use to start our yogurt culture. This yogurt culture is also known as a thermophilic culture, which likes temperatures between 90 and 110. My milk room is over 90 right now, and it's early in the morning, but it will go up to 100 today. So it's the perfect place for me to start this culture. The first thing we're going to do, it's just like you're making Clabber. We're going to put some raw milk, and you're going to need raw milk to start this. And I like to use just a 1 cup jar because I want to use as little as possible. So you're going to put some raw milk in a jar like this. And you're going to, I like to put a coffee filter with a rubber band on it. Okay, and you're just going to set it aside. And it might be 1 day, 2 days before it's solid and thick. But you're not ready to use it yet for your yogurt. So the next day, or it might be 2 days, it might be the third day, you're going to take your, and I've got some in my refrigerator right here. You're going to take 1 teaspoon, just a tiny bit. And it could even be if you had, reused your jar, because that's what I do to Clabber for my chickens, is I just keep the Clabber in the bucket. I don't wash it, and I just, keep adding the raw fresh milk, and it makes Clabber in 12 hours. So you're going to take, after you have your first, 1 or 2 days, you're going to take a little bit of that, just a tiny bit. That's all you need. See how thick this is? And you're going to put it in your jar, just like that. And then you're going to cover it with milk. And then I'm going to borrow my filter again. So then I just cover it up and set it aside. When it's thick and I can see that it separates from the sides in one, see how this is, I don't know if you can see, but see how that'll separate from the sides. See, like that. See? Ooh. But what you don't want is for it to separate into whey and have like a clear liquid. That means it's over fermented. But just keep, if you taste it like this and you don't think it tastes real good yet, leave it a little bit longer. But somewhere around 12 hours, depending on your temperature, it will form a solid Clabber curd. You may have to keep feeding it and culturing for 4 to 5 times after your initial, when you first got your Clabber. So it might take a week before you actually have refined the culture enough to make yogurt. But that's about how long it takes me. But once you make your, once you have your pure or thermophilic culture, then you can use it to inoculate your yogurt. Super easy, and it's all from your farm, and you don't have to order anything. I think that's just about as good as it gets. I want to share with you how to store your Clabber that you're going to use to make your yogurt. Okay, after your Clabber is mature, you can put it in the refrigerator, and you can use it up to 1 week to start a fresh jar of Clabber. You can use the culture within 24 hours, and that's what I do if you want to make yogurt or cheese. Or you can freeze the culture in ice cube trays and keep it in the freezer and just take them out as needed. Remember, when your culture is mature, it'll form a curd closer to 12 hours, and then you can put it in the refrigerator to slow the fermentation down. That's how you know that your culture is mature, is it'll form a curd closer to 12 hours. Okay, some reasons why you have to make several generations. The first generation, it's perfectly safe to consume, and you definitely should use it in baked goods and use it as a replacement for buttermilk. Or you definitely can feed it to your chickens. There's definitely nothing unsafe about drinking it. The more you feed your culture, the more active it will be. And that's what you really want when you want to make yogurt or cheese. And let me say this again, when you're making your Clabber for yogurt, Thermophilic culture, you want to use really clean raw milk. There's a few things I want you to watch out for when you are clabbering your raw milk into a culture to make yogurt. Number one is if your milk will not turn into a solid, will not form a solid curd, then there's something wrong and you need to discard the milk and start over. So some reasons that the milk might not turn into Clabber is the cow could have mastitis, is one reason. Number two, the milk handling when it was milked and strained was maybe not as clean as it should be. And number three is the container that you're clabbering your raw milk in. You want to remember, transferring dairy products between containers, you want to do that as little as possible, because that's just another source for contamination. So if you see your milk or Clabber bubbling or rising or getting airy looking, make sure you discard it, because that could be, coliform contamination or yeast. So I would just discard everything and start over. Another practice that I use, and I use this with all my cultures, is I really keep all my cultures away from each other. I keep them in different rooms, or if that's possible, or maybe in a cabinet. But I just think that is, I've got lots of things culturing all the time, and that's just my practice around here. So back before refrigeration, clabbering milk was just a part of life. And they would milk the cow, and then they would put the raw milk in a wooden barrel or in a crock, which would have traces of the culture. And then they would, it would just start that day's milk. It would be a start for that day's milk to make Clabber. So I'm going to try to write a blog post about this, because, so check on that at Texas Farmstead Living. But I hope that this helps you, and it really is simple. I mean, our ancestors did this every day, and it was just part of their daily life because they didn't have refrigeration. So all this, feeding and, it wouldn't have been something they did, because they just had, every day they just milked and clabbered, then they started over the next day. And so they did have more, they had a Clabber always ready to go to make their cheese. So I hope all these tips help you. In this quart of milk, I'm going to make some yogurt while I'm out here. This is my yogurt culture. It's also called Thermophilic culture. It likes, remember, 90 to 110 degrees. So I use about a tablespoon per quart. I'm just going to guess. Okay. I'm going to shake it up a little bit. I'm going to set this quart of milk that's cultured with my Thermophilic Clabber, which is also my yogurt culture. I'm going to set it aside, and before I go to bed tonight, I should have a quart of yogurt. and I will put it in the refrigerator and let it solidify and try to keep it really still until it's chilled, and then it will be ready to eat by tomorrow morning. This is the yogurt that we made yesterday when we were in the milk room, and I told you it would be ready the next morning. So this is the next morning. This yogurt, last night, 12 hours later, I went and put it in the refrigerator, but it turned out really beautiful. It's really thick. It is raw also. There was no cooking involved. I think it's a product that you will really be happy with. I want to talk to you about yogurt cultures while I'm taking my cheese out of the press. So a yogurt culture is really a thermophilic culture, and what that means is the bacteria like or favor temperatures from 90 to 110. So when you, the way that you can make your own yogurt culture, which is also a thermophilic culture, is you're basically making Clabber, but you are culturing it in an environment of 90 to 110 degrees, because that will select for the bacteria that like the higher temperatures. And it's really just that simple. So, thermophilic, yogurt, Clabber cultured at 90 to 110, they're basically all the same thing. Super easy. And not only do I use the thermophilic culture, Clabber, for making yogurt, I make all of my cheeses. And I have so for a long time, because in my community 20 years ago, which is German, they made a cheese that was very specific to this region called Käse. And I'm gonna make it for you sometime, but they used Clabber to, of course, everyone did a long time ago, to culture their cheeses. So that's what I've done for a long time. So, you wanna know my secret weapon for having perfectly pressed cheeses? Did you see me take it off of the press? Let me show you this cheese first. It's beautiful. It's about to go into a brine. It's a wash curd, and it was cultured with mesophilic, which is just Clabber that was cultured from 70 to 90 degrees, and the bacteria just were selected to like those temperatures. And so that's a mesophilic culture that I use to do cheeses. Beautiful. So my secret weapon is this little tiny level. I think I got it at like Home Depot or Lowe's, but I just put it on my cheese press and it works great. Okay, I want to show you a culture that is ready to use to culture yogurt, and one that is over cultured, over fermented, and that you would, it just wouldn't be best to use. So first of all, this one's over fermented, so you can see the clear liquid. I would not use this for yogurt or cheese, but I would use it to inoculate my next batch of yogurt culture. Okay, here is one that is perfect. See the solid curd? There's no clear whey on top. And see? Okay, this is the culture that I would use to make yogurt and cheeses. Hi, I'm Karen. creator of the YouTube channel and blog Texas Farmstead Living, where we inspire, educate, and guide you into living your healthiest, best life. I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to our channel. Thank you.